I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, April the 28th, brought to you entirely by DV Auction. And we're starting to wind down here our production sale season for this spring, but I want to give you guys another update on our production sale report there. This past week we had bids, over 2,000 bids online there on our production sales, not our commercial sales, just on the production sales. We had 736 lots that were sold, added up to $2.1 million in production sale cattle. Our video catalogs on dvauction.com, 31 of those running, 27,800 views on our online video catalog, and in those catalogs 250,000 total video plays on there. So that's how guys shop for bulls and replacement stock nowadays, guys. But we've added a lot of commercial sales here during this coronavirus outbreak, and we're sure glad to have all those guys on too, and a lot of those are selling a lot of cattle online also. But look at what's going on in the industry. Your packers are doubling their money now on fat cattle. How easy is that? I mean, they just, you know, they give $1,200 for them and make $1,200. Pretty nice deal there, right? And you wonder, why wouldn't they just push as hard as they can possibly push these plants that are up and running? You would think they would be running them, I mean, just as fast as they can go, running on Saturdays, doing everything that they can do, but no, they don't have to, you know. And they can just be disciplined and just relax, because they know it's all coming their way. Absolutely all coming their way. You know, on an earlier report this week, I asked if there was any investigation going. Had a guy or two call around and call me and say that they had heard some investigating is going on right now. I tell you what, if they can't find all they need here for the gouging that's going on, it's unbelievable. And then to boot, we had your major packers in the media here early in the week, you know, taking out ads of, you know, full page ads in major newspapers, and going on to your cable news and your nationwide news there, telling everybody about the protein shortage. Now, if that's not going to cause more panic buying, I don't know what is, but the panic buying's kind of been playing in their favor. Why do they need to come on telling everybody there's going to be a protein shortage? It's all in their favor. I mean, they're gonna get to take advantage more of your consumers already, and they're taking advantage of these retailers. I'm not sure if these retailers are able to keep up their minimal percent markup or not, the way that they're gouging them. We saw your box beef cutout values break all-time records last week, and they haven't slowed down a bit. They've gotten even stronger and even more sharply higher. And we just can't get these animals through there. I know that we're seeing signs, and then your packers are even saying that the food supply chain is broken. We've got a lot of animals that are being euthanized, destroyed. A lot of chickens out there being destroyed. And a lot of hogs. You know, we've seen some pictures coming across social media of all the dead hogs that are piled up, and I tell you what, it's a shame. I know those hogs were going to be, you know, killed anyway, but they were going to go to feed people, and there's a lot of people out there that really need these products. There's hungry people out there, you know, all over the world and in this country too, and it's a shame we're just wasting that. They're plowing up vegetables, fruits rotting. It's terrible. Now, you know, they've talked in there about euthanizing cattle. Now, they're not euthanizing any fat finished cattle yet. If they are, call me. I'll bring a gooseneck. We'll figure out how to get them cut up. But I'm sure a lot of the like the baby Holstein calves and stuff like that, they're probably not spending the money to keep feeding those things, because sure not going to make any money on those. But your government is actually coming in and helping people dispose of the dead livestock. And you know you're in a good situation when the government shows up and says they're here to help, and they're going to help you get rid of this your dead livestock. It's just, You know, we came out initially thinking that they were going to help find a hole for those cattle. Yeah, they're going to dig a hole and put them in it. But let's look at the board on Monday. Your April live cattle futures down 17 cents only, which is not that bad. 84.80 is your spot, and stuff's got to happen here pretty fast, guys. It's the 28th of April, and your cash and your futures are supposed to meet up, but they're not. We had sales of fat cattle on Monday at $1 a pound. That's a $15 basis there. If futures are not converging with cash. If we'd have had that convergence take place, we'd have had a little more strength to your market. But we've got guys getting a $15 basis selling their fat cattle, and I know it's a wreck, but when everybody's hedged up feeding those cattle, that's why I continue to tell you guys, these cattle feeders, by and large, are not getting hurt that bad. Your big feeders, now some guys that are retaining ownership and didn't hedge their cattle or something like that, yeah, they're getting their heads torn off. But for the most part, your big corporate feeders, your guys that own feedlots, have a lot of them, they're hedging all the way to the gills, and they just keep diving at these big basis levels. And I told you guys what it's going to do. It's going to keep backing our price levels up until your backgrounders and your cow-calf guys can't afford to raise them anymore. And we're there. We're there, guys, right now. June live cattle futures up $1.42 at 84.05. You go on out from there on your live cattle futures. They were up 40 cents to up $1.50. April feeder cattle up 60 cents at 120.40, and I tell you what, we had some whipping sales. I'm going to tell you guys all about it here in just a minute. May on feeder cattle was up 70 cents at 118.15. Going out front from there, they were up 40 to up 92 cents. Your weighted average on last week's negotiated fat cattle sales, which it was still very small, but well over twice as large as the previous week, at 47,100 head. That compares to the 16,500 head we had the week before, but 95,400 head the same week a year ago. Your live sales of steers and heifers range from 92.5 to 105. Your weighted average on steers, 96.69. And I tell you what, that's a foot lower there. Your dress sales were weird. We never saw really a negotiated price on dress steers that was reported, but then we have a lot of them turned in at the end of the week there from 148 to 160. A lot of them had to have been around 155, and that wouldn't have been much lower at all because your weighted average on dress steers was 154.31. But we saw a few sales, mostly in western Nebraska, maybe over there by Colorado, at $1 a pound on Monday. Why do packers come in on a Monday? Because they need cattle. People are scrambling, trying to find a place for their cattle. They're backing them up. They're doing everything. And your packers are needing cattle on a Monday morning, coming in there, buying them $5 cheaper. But actually, that was actually a pretty good bid for those cattle because our late sales last week was 95. We had some dollar kind of later in the week last week and some 105 back in the middle part of the week. But dollar is a pretty fair price given the way the board is, but that's how everything's just jacked up. You know, what are we doing here on the 28th of the month with a $15 basis? Your futures are not working. Your box beef cutout values, actually, let's do your national negotiated cash on your weighted averages last week. Nationwide, we sold 58,000 cattle. And only 4% of those were for 2 to 4 week delivery. So actually, you know, these packers, they either think that the market's going to get a lot cheaper, which I'm sure they do, but they haven't got real aggressive down here because, you know, this thing's backing up quite a bit. They know that they've got everybody by the short hairs. They don't have to get real aggressive. They're buying those cattle hand to mouth. Even though they're not picking up cattle they've already spoke for, they're buying cattle and taking them right away. Box beef cutout values, you guys aren't going to believe this, but I'm telling you the truth. Choice cuts, $311.84, up $18.47. That is ridiculous. Your select, $298.78, up $19.76 a hundred. Your Choice Select spread is just over $13. Only 96 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings, and these retailers need that product really, really bad, but they are gouging them so bad. Only the worst of the people that are really, really in bad shape are coming in buying. They raised them nearly $20, both Choice and Select, and didn't even sell 100 loads. What do they care? There's not that much product coming down the line. These packers are making millions and millions of dollars every single day in every single plant. Your slaughter, 81,000 on Monday. That's 5,000 less than last week. We're not going to get anywhere close to 500,000 guys total. 86 was last week, so 5,000 less than last week. 39,000 less than the same week a year ago. Let's talk about your feeder cattle. Your real-time index on DV auction sitting at 119.15. That was down 97 cents for the week. Your big sales on Monday with Oklahoma City, of course, Oklahoma National Stockyards, 10,500 head in a wreck. Guys just had to sell them. They were at the end of their rope. They had to sell them. And if you guys want to do something about this that will work, we need to get on and join this 30-14 deal. And it's minimum 30% negotiated cash. We haven't given up on it. We haven't even thought about it. We're still pushing hard. Right now, your politic cowboys are counting votes and pushing and pulling and using their leverage and doing everything. We still need more signatures. We had about 3,800 there the last time I looked, which were cattle outfits and outfits that were being affected by the lack of negotiated trade. I picked out a few I want to call out here on this report that signed on to the 30-14 deal here in the last several days. Poss Angus out of Nebraska, McKenzie Land and Cattle out of Kansas, Pake McIntyre, Reba's brother. Pake McIntyre signed up for it, so you know it's got to be a pretty good deal. He's a cattle producer there in Oklahoma. Mast Ranch out of Montana, Rockin' S Ranch from Texas, Fitzwater Farms out of Ohio, Hunley's Herefords from Missouri, Anderson Ag Enterprises from way up in Washington State, G Squared Livestock from Colorado, Cherokee Farms in Illinois, the Norvell Ranch in Florida, and 252 Farms out of Alabama are just a few of the late sign-ons there for the 30-14 deal. If you guys want to get on there and support that, go on to uscattlemans.org, go into the news, and drop down there till you see negotiated cash. You can find the sign-on letter there. But let's talk about Oklahoma City, 10,500 head. Feeders sold steady to $4 lower. Steers under 7 were $4 to $6 lower. Calves on a lighter test, $2 to $5 lower, but not well tested there. Joplin Regional Stockyard, 7,100 head. I might add both of the two big Monday sales there underestimated. They ended up having more cattle than they thought they were going to have. And I tell you what, guys, it's disheartening to have to see people bring this many cattle to town in this down market. But we can blame the times. We can blame China. We can blame a lot of people. We can blame these packers for gouging. But the fact is we can't get cattle killed. Everything's backed up and it's not looking good down the road. But in Joplin there, 7,100 head. Feeders were about steady, yearling feeders, and they had about 30 big load lots of them, and they actually sold pretty well. But the calves steady to $4 lower. I did see a pretty impressive calf quote on some lightweight calves there. 63 head of 411-pound steer calves, bring $176 in Joplin. Sioux Falls Regional in Worthing, South Dakota there. We're proud to have them on DV Auction now, and we're broadcasting them. You can view and bid each week on all their sales there, and we're getting all their market quotes too. Sioux Falls Regional Livestock, 2,300 head. Feeders were steady to $4 lower. Some of your 6 to 7 weight heifers were as much as 5 to 10 lower. The big quote that I saw out of there, 302 head of 919-pound steers up in Sioux Falls at Worthing, $118. But the top quote that I saw anywhere on Monday come out of Fort Smith Stockyards right there on the Oklahoma-Arkansas border from a good old boy named Alan Hales, and he's from Branch, Arkansas. He's been around that market all of his life. He's a big auction promoter. He brought in some cattle he put together. They were hard wintered. They had quality, plenty of quality, but I tell you what, just running gears, guys. They were green, hard wintered, feeding cattle in an attractive condition and a friendly way up. In Fort Smith stockyards, there were 65 head of them, weighed 828 pounds at $135. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.